So continuing from last 5.2, it's now 5.3. So when sample size is less than 30 and population standard deviation sigma is not known and replaced by sample standard deviation, then we call it a T distribution, which is like a student's research work from 18th century. But there is a concept that is called degrees of freedom. It's also a very important concept, and it will come again and again in your next sessions. Here you can see the number of free observations in a data set. This is definition of a degree of freedom. So what that means, suppose you are asked to choose 10 numbers, you can then have the freedom to choose 10 numbers as you like, and we say you have 10 degrees of freedom. That means you can choose any 10 number, 1 2 3 4 10 or million, 2 million, whatever. But suppose a condition is imposed on the numbers. Now one condition, a condition means we imposed one condition. The condition is that the sum of all the numbers you choose must be 100. So that means now if you choose 10 numbers, their sum must be 100. So you, in this case, when you are choosing 100 numbers, you cannot choose all 10 numbers as you please. After you have chosen the 9th number, let's say the sum of the 9 numbers is 94. Your 10th number then has to be 6, because you need sum equals to 6. This is a condition that you imposed and you have no choice. Thus you have 9 degrees of freedom. 9 equals to 10 minus 1. That is 10 minus 1. You have 9 degree of freedom, or 10 minus 1 degree of freedom means how many free observations you have. If suppose you also imposed another condition that sum must be equal to 100 and the difference of the numbers must be 70, that means you are imposing two conditions. If you impose two conditions, then your degree of freedom will reduce to 8, 10 minus 2. More and more conditions you impose on your data set, more and more you will lose observations. Like 10 minus 1 is here, 10 minus 2, if you say sum equals to 100, difference equal to 70. 10 minus 3, if you say sum equals 100, difference is equal to 70, and multiplication equals to 1500. So more and more conditions you impose on your data, the more and more you will lose the free observations. So that's why 10 minus, we can say n minus 1. If you have one condition, and you can say n minus 2, n minus 3, dot. In general, we say n minus k, where k is the number of conditions. So this is the same. Our brain, our algorithms that you will see in 4th year and 3rd year, 6th semester, you will see the algorithms which are following this concept very well, repeatedly. Okay, now last thing is to solve one or two questions and then finish. Given a distribution, suppose you are given a data which have mu distribution with population distribution. Population distribution with mu equals to 32. That means whole population's average is 32 and whole population's standard deviation is 12. What is the probability of drawing a sample of size n equal to 36, where x bar must be greater than 34? We want to find the probability of x bar greater than 34. And here I wrote that we know the standard deviation, population standard deviation. If you know the population standard deviation, you can use Z distribution, standard normal distribution, without caring about the sample size. So probability x bar greater than 34. If you have attended last lecture, you know that we have to calculate 1 minus probability of x bar less than 34. Then we transform it into Z, 1 minus probability of Z. This Z equals to x bar minus mu divided by sigma over under root n. So here on the right hand side it is 34 minus mu. Mu is 32. Sigma is 12. Square root of n is square root of 36. I just put all these values, and Z less than 34 minus 32 divided by 32 is the mean. 12 is the standard deviation divided by sample size is 36. And from this, we can say 1 minus probability of z less than 2 times 6 by 12. It is 1 minus probability of z 1.00. So make it similar to the table requirement. I write 1 minus z00, and it is 1 minus, no, this is typo, 1 minus 0.8413. You can use z table to find the probability corresponding to z value equals 1.00, and therefore we say 0.1587. So the probability that the sample mean will be greater than 34 is 0.1587. So the only difference in this question and the previous lecture is that now we are dividing by something new, is square root of n. Otherwise, it is the same thing. The only difference is now we are introducing, or we are using sample size in our Z table or T table calculations. That's the only thing. Your job is to replicate this example, same like here, mu equals to 45, sigma equal 45. No, I think no. Sigma is 45. No. 15 is fine. What is the probability of drawing a sample of n equals to 25 with probability of x bar? That means we want to draw a sample which have mean value greater than 50. So we have to do same step, but only thing that I need to change the value here. So I will have 50 because it is asking for more than 50. You have to repeat the same steps, but using 50. And similarly, just if you have attended the last lecture, they are same thing. Just now, in place of x, we are using x bar, and in place of x bar minus mu divided by sigma, we are using x bar minus mu divided by sigma over under root n. So this is because of central limit theorem. That's it. Nothing else in it. So these are some of the sources. You can find a lot of many questions and solved examples. I did not include everything because we already have 30 slides. So you can go through these different places and you can find many solved questions as well. This is showing, if I go back and explain here, in this formula, in this case, this value, if I increase sample size, suppose sample size is 2, then sample size is 10, then sample size is 20, 30, 50, 100, and so on. Because the denominator is increasing, you will see the variance of x bar will decrease stage by stage by increasing sample size. So this is a picture which is showing that when you increase the sample size, the standard error or sigma square over n value decreases like drastically, like an exponential curve, decaying curve. So this is a theoretical concept showing that how the sample size and the variance of the sample means v of x bar are related to each other. So that's it. So today you learned about the sampling, the population sampling distributions, and sampling distribution for mean, some basic definitions. So when you will work for any sample data collection, these are the key points that you must have in your mind for any data collection. Then you must know what is sample, how the sample should be collected, why you are collecting sample, and what you can do from sample observation to estimate population. And then what are the possible different ways to have the sampling techniques, like which method is most appropriate for your situation. And the numerical example is just for, because you are computer science or you can use softwares, you just have to define the population and software will develop all the samples and sampling distribution for mean and sampling distribution for variance. So this is So this is a lesson about sampling distribution and sampling distribution for mean. We will solve this in practical because today is a break after 11. So I will not continue after it. All right. Thank you very much.